I found that the filming process takes a long time, especially because the shots might be wrong or because there might be things that were overlooked the first time round. The things we'd overlooked were the fact that we had a grainy camera, we had a lack of shots, we found that the film opening wasn't long enough. A couple of times the script had to be changed. I thought the camera angles could have been better. Could have been better than what we originally filmed. It took 2 days for us to film because the grainy camera was a big problem for us, and we also had lack of stops and everything. So we filmed it over the weekend again. So we filmed it then because it didn't clash with anyone's timetables. No one had school, so it was a good time for all of us to come together and do it. So the experience I was taught when doing this is patience, because some of the actors kept forgetting their lines. So it means you had to keep stopping the camera, telling them their lines, and then playing the camera again. In terms of sound, we used sound that wasn't copyrighted, so it took us a while to find music. We didn't have enough time to use GarageBand to create our own music. But once we did find music, we made a sound bridge, so we didn't have to look for more music for each individual scene. In terms of editing, it did take a while to do. We had to add music into certain places, and we had to make it fit into what was going on. We had to make sure it wasn't too loud so that you couldn't hear what was being said, or wasn't too low enough to miss it completely. During filming, I worked closely with the camera, and I was the director, so I had to make sure that all the shots were as expected to be. I had to make sure I was paying attention to detail. I had to guide the actor to do what they have to tell them what they have to do and everything, so it will look good on camera. We only had one camera for this, which means that we had to keep changing positions. But this was overcame by having 2 separate shots. So we filmed an entire scene from one angle, and then we filmed another one, and we filmed the same scene in a different angle from another actor's perspective. So when editing, what we had to do was cut the scenes up and put them together to make it look like shot reverse shot. The exposure on the camera was way too high at first. We didn't know what the problem was with the camera. We just saw that everything was too bright. So we tried, at the first time round, we tried to remove a light bulb from the setting to decrease the brightness on the camera and the way it showed. But once we got to the Mac, we realised it was just too bright, and the exposure was just really high. When presenting work, we used YouTube and Blogger. So we put it on YouTube first and then embedded it onto Blogger. Word documents were put onto Scribd so that we could easily transfer it onto Blogger. So the platforms we mainly used were Macs, because all of the software were already downloaded, so we didn't have to waste time to finding software to use and to downloading it. So we used Adobe Premiere for the Final Cut, because it felt more professional and really sophisticated looking. And then we used iMovie for the rough cuts to see what it was going to look like and get a general gist of it. For equipment, when recording, we used a tripod, so it helped us to elevate the camera and keep it leveled. The disadvantages of using it was that the grounds in the setting that we were in was uneven. So when the tripod was on, the camera was slightly tilted. Also, when the cameraman was filming, he'd occasionally accidentally hit one of the legs of the tripod, so the camera would move, meaning we had to start all over again. But if overall it was easy to operate. So there was a tracking shot we did, and the tripod was hard to manipulate because it was really shaking when doing it by hand. This means that we had to slowly turn the camera on the tripod and make sure it didn't shake too much. But it was easy when we were doing that, because once we mounted the camera on the tripod, we didn't have to take it off.